Hi, so I'm Jess, and this is how to plant. So I've topped European Championships, and I've topped the recent 250th YCS with Rikka Sunavalon. And I thought I've had so much support from that event, and I've had so many requests for little questions on how to do the niche interactions. I thought I'd make a video covering everything that people don't seem to cover in dev profiles. With that's siding plans, that's little niche interactions, and just all the good stuff that you need to really get to the next level with the stack and compete at a high level that people don't seem to cover. Yeah, I'm gonna do a recap of the YCS as well, and just everything that went down, because it was, I think, such an important event. It was just such a big event for me, and yeah, I'm going to start doing a bit of content, I think, so let me know what kind of things people want. Alright, so this is the full list, the compact version. Yeah, it's 45 cards. We've got our Lokais, our Rikkas, our other package, we've got all the Therions and our Longfire. We've got our non-engine cards, I guess I include Kawaii in this. And then we've got our engine cards. Engine spells, the Insulated Dies, the Rikka spells, Sunvine spells, and one for one's Extender. So I think explanations I know I've been asked about is I've been asked why 2 Mudan. I think 2 Mudan's correct because you need you don't want 3 because it can be pretty cloggy, and you need to have multiple cards to be able to make it work. But especially when people are learning to imperm and ash this, you need a second one. And then again in the grind game, when you want to add something with Petal that contribute their monstrous cost when you have Concon, you need a second one. Other things, I'm very, very pro 1 Primula and 3 cheat Loci. I think these are correct. I think grind game wise you need them, and I think if you play correctly, you never need a second Primula. It's just a brick. And if best can you play that Therion package? Yes, you can. The original Euros list, for example, was with that Therion package. It's just very nice getting a free negate, and yeah, it's a free negate and it's an extender of the combo. I'd still recommend playing even just 1 Lily potentially, if you can, just as an extender. But yeah. In terms of siding, so go straight to siding patterns then. So with siding, so there's 2 different patterns, going first and going second. Generally, these cards, and the majority of your Rikkas, so your Lokais, your Mudans, Snowdrop, Primula, these guys all stay in. Pretty much every time going first or second. Going first, the princesses all stay in. You can sometimes side 1 going out, going second, but we'll get back to that. And then going second, I pretty much always side out 1 Petal. Because you've got the 6th card, so your chances of having a normal summon isn't hit anyway by siding it out, and you'd rather see going second cards. Then for going second, you can side out whatever card based on matchup for the power cards. Generally, all the power cards stay in, but let's say you're against Labyrinth, I'd side out Imperm's Drolls. Against Cash, I would side out the Callby. That kind of thing. Then with the power spells, all of these stay in, especially Sheet. Please do not side out Sheet going second. But I do side out the 1 for 1 going second most of the time, because especially if the deck sets up negates, you don't want to be trading -1 into a board. If they have, let's say, a Carrot, or you can't use this anyway going into a Cashier board because you can't discard as cost into a Rise Heart. So for this side, and then I think the important package is Longfire. Longfire is really, Longfire is side outable, but ideally because of when they negate Jasmine, when they negate Dryas, you can summon this off Jasmine, tribute Jasmine, summon Loci, and keep comboing. You do kind of want to keep it in some matchups. So this one's a bit more 50-50. And then the Therion package, which personally I side out in a lot of matchups. I know there's a few people who keep these in, but I don't agree with keeping these in. Because they don't... Once you started your full combo and started to get through things, you don't really have any issues. You need to see multiple board breaker cards, and these don't support that. Also, it makes it a little bit more awkward starting with things like Concon, because then you can't Regulus, and it's just a vanilla extender. That just makes it more a vanilla extender, and I would rather have a power card than a vanilla extender. So if we go to the side deck, which is right here, we can see this card. It's good going first, second. We've got Ash. Ash is particularly good going first. I think we mentioned it in Zephyr as well. This card's actually really good going first. We've then got Rose Whip going first. And then we've got all our going second card packages. So I'll focus on the two highest represented matchups at London, which would be Sprite and Kashtira. So against Kashtira, I wanted triple Talented, because you can beta Rysar pretty easily, and then just add Regeki, whatever. You don't wanted the Regeki, especially if they don't use sort of Prosperity and Con Goliath. Then Herald of the Abyss. Herald of the Abyss, this is just another copy of a Kaiju, essentially, that you can search off Thrust, because it affects the player, not the card. It plays through Lance. And then the two Kaijus to make 7. I would quite often side in this as well. It very much depends on how they play game 1. For example, if they were playing Preparations or not. Oh, bit of glare there. Is if they're playing Preparations or not, because this is your searchable out via Glamour or via Jasmine to the Birth, because you can out the entire board with your engine, but not Birth, and then Birth will be very, very difficult in the long run, so it's just nice to have this. This is for going second. For going first, generally I would just Rose Whip and side in triple Ash Blossom, but I'll get to going first after. So what do you side out for this? So against Kashtira, start the 1-for-1. One of the petals. 3, all four Therions, and Corby. So this is the basic side ranking against Kashtira. I think it's rather self-explanatory. You never really side in Ash against this kind of deck because Ash doesn't really do enough. And you just want basic. This is dead going second if they have a Rise Hawks or have anything in graveyard. You can't even use the Therions because you can't target anything in grave, and you can't even use 1-for-1. You like see normal summon, and multiple normal summons are especially dead going second. If they're playing like a back row heavy build, you could side in this, and generally for this, you can side out either Lone Fire, or you can side out one copy of Princess. But generally, I would lean towards the Lone Fire against Kashtira. And then for going first against Kashtira, you don't side in these because there's nothing really to set that's super valuable against them. For going first against Kashtira, 1, 2, 3, 4. I actually did forget. I apologize. 5. So the reason you side did this in going first is because if they happen to have be playing like Lava Golems, Evenlies, and that kind of thing, and then set up a Birth, you will likely have Concon plus Glamour, or access to Concon plus Glamour, depending on how you end. And you'll need to get to this to get rid of the Birth, so you don't get all of your petals and cards banished in the grind game. So for this, I would generally side out, I think quite obviously, 3 copies of Evenly Matched. They just don't do that. They don't do anything going first, essentially. And then for the rest of it, it largely depends on, again, type of thing. I think a very safe side out is Imperm. However, if they're on like a power card build, you can side out 2 tactics instead of 2 Imperm. It generally just depends on if you see them playing like dark rollers in main, or you see them maining evenly and you don't see any Ash or hand traps. If you don't see Ash, draw, anything like that, game 1, you can pretty safely side this out, because if they're going to shift to you, especially if they know you're playing tactics, they're generally going to do it in standby phase, because I don't think any plant lists ever play Gamma. Yeah, so that's against pressure, and then you've got Sprite. So for Sprite decks, we have the 2 Dark Rollers. So we don't side in the Kaiju or the Herald against this deck, but we do side in the Regeki, the 3 copies of Triple Tactic Talent, and again for siding out, I again side out the Theorem package, because again, although it's quite nice and big, if you can't get things resolving in the first place, it's not going to help you. And as much as this is an extender, Lily isn't level 1, or below level 4, sorry, so it's not going to help you get into Dryas to be able to extend from just Lily. It's just going to be Lily Pass or Regulus Pass, and Lockout doesn't help. I again side out the 1 Rikka Battle. Again, it's just a generic normal summon, it doesn't help too much. And again, siding out the 1-for-1. This time I do keep in the Corby, because this deck, Sprite, generally relies on hand traps on top of their board. If they're playing, you think they're playing a back row version, you think they're playing Judgments or something like that, to bait it out, you can also side in Hobby's Feather Duster. That's a preference. Generally, you side in an Imperm, so side out an Imperm for this. But Imperm's a bit of a weird one, because you're never, against Sprite, I'm never using Impermanence as a hand trap, pretty much. Unless they go normal summon Beaver, special summon Angler, overlay for Giant, and then using Giant effects and haven't used anything else. Generally, I will never use Imperm as a hand trap. I will keep it in my hand, and then use it during my turn to negate the carrot, and then win with a blowout card. And then again, for going first, personally, I don't side in the Rose Whip, because these decks are quite hand trap heavy, and they don't rely too heavily on spells. If it's Runic Sprite, I will side in the Rose Whip as well, bear that in mind. But just again, Ash Blossoms, and honestly, that's about it. Because I just go Ash Blossoms for the 3 copies of Evenly Matched that remain. And just swap these around against Sprite when I go first. Okay, just rearrange everything. So other little tricks that are definitely worth knowing include things like Theory and Disc Coliseum and plants. Just let's say any level 4 lower plant, so any of these guys. I'm not going to include Loci here. So let's say any of this kind of thing. Especially when you go second, Disc Coliseum is really, really valuable. But so's Dryas. So Dryas has an effect when you take damage to summon from extra deck. What a lot of people don't realise is when they negate, let's say, the Ash, or they negate that effect of the Dryas, or stops the Ash sowing, quite often you will end up, let's say, summoning a Princess. Let's clear my board for a second. You'll end up summoning a Princess, linking 1 into Dryas, and attacking into a defense pressure monster. And then once you attack into defense pressure monster, you take damage and use the effect. And then you summon out a healer or a Thrasher. And from there you can keep going. But if they don't have a defense pressure monster, or you don't have Sowing Engrave to protect this, you can't often do this, which is where Disc Coliseum comes in, because this protects their battle. So it means you can instantly go special, then get the Lily, and you can immediately go Jasmine Tribute, monster it points to, and go from there. The full combo, there'll be videos for, if you're on the Disciples channel, and alongside, you can see the feature match from round 4. Turn 1, I did the full combo. The full combo being, for game 1, being any Rikka monster. or any Rikka card even, aside from Primula. Primula doesn't work with this because it's a bit of a brick and you won't have the negate from Princess. Plus any access to Sunseed Genius Loci, which I believe is over here. So there's a lot of like really niche things that I think people don't seem to pick up on with this deck. Another niche thing aside from the whole crashing with Dryas is zones. So when you're against this deck, always put all monsters in attack position pretty much no matter what. Because Dryas is 0 and it will try and crash with everything when you're trying to break into a board. Another thing is with Nibiru tokens. And just when you get Kaiju, Nibiru tokens, your opponents generally always put them in the middle column. Or they can just put them in the two far side columns. They can still both be tributed by Jasmine. And you can manipulate the level with Dance. And then you can overlay for Strenna or for Teardrop, because both of which are generic. There's no plant requirements on them. Obviously you can't overlay with the token. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can do, especially with the Kaijus or Lava Golems. I think Lava Golem comes with a lot making Lava Golem level 4 than overlaying with Strenna. Because Lava Golem often, they tribute your Strenna and then trigger your Strenna. There's a lot of just general things that I think, through playing the deck, you generally just pick up. I think a common starting play is when you open access to Mudan, and you can use, and plus like anything, generally a Rikka monster, let's just say, and if they are knowledgeable in plant, if you start with Princess, link off Princess, tribute Princess into Mudan, use the effect, generally they have to imperm this, because then, or imperm or ash it, because if they don't, you're getting to 3 major interrupts for their turn, and they can't guarantee that you have the Loci or the Glamour. And if they don't, you're just going to go Concon, set Glamour, Glamour treat Mudan, and you'll likely have a monster on field to protect with a Princess, or tribute its cost to negate, like have a Petal or something, and they just lose. I think Glamour tributing 2 is also very, very valuable, because Glamour can add both kind of multitude of combinations, such as adding these 2 is very, very important. There's obviously adding Princess plus Primula, which is then instant rank 4, and Loci plus Petal. I think the other very important one post side is, as I mentioned before, Petal plus you're out to skill drain, you're out to pretty much everything. So yeah, those are the basics on how to settle on siding patterns for plants, for the main 2 matchups, and just some general advice and tips. Against Branded, for example, you want to side in Ash Blossoms going second. But against the main 2 decks, you generally don't want to. It's just very good against Rogue. A lot of these things you'll be able to work out with experience with the deck, and yeah, a lot of it is just trial and error. I think just working on it, practicing, and you'll get the hang of this deck. It's really rewarding when you get like full combos and finally work out these little niche interactions that other decks wouldn't have. Because the interactions with this deck are they're quite niche. Like, people don't realise or understand them. And especially, even if your opponent knows how to play plant, which many don't, they still don't know these niche interactions. Anyway, I apologize for the nervousness. This is the first time doing a video like this. I hope people enjoyed and I hope this information's been useful. I'm looking to do some actual content, such as actual recaps of the event, hopefully with some editing, and like this. And yeah, I'll be attending some regionals in the next few weeks, So hopefully you can get some, I can get some content out of those. And yeah, if any content, like any like specific kind of content, let me know.